What's good, people? It's Dan with the Corporate Thief Beats. What's good, people? It's Dan with the Corporate Thief Beats. You're back for another beat making showcase. This is where I created a Tyler the Creator type beat. Well, it's similar to that kind of sound. It has a really kind of dark elements, almost horrorcore elements in it, but it has a creepy vibe to it, like you would hear with Tyler the Creator. But it also has hidden kind of trap elements in there as well. Also has that kind of structure that Tyler the Creator has that there's no hook in this track, and that's what I like about it. But the movement of the 808s, I kind of experimented a lot more than I usually do in my trap type beats, but this is more kind of a mixture between trap and horrorcore, and you'll really see what I mean now in a while when you hear the movement of the 808s and the drums in conjunction with the minimalist instrumentation. I'll get in, do the same kind of structure that we usually do: intro, verse, chorus. Well, this time no chorus. I'll kind of break down every kind of instrument as well. I also noticed that the last time I showcased in some tutorials that there were EQs and stuff off the screen. The screen I'm recording in is actually pretty small to kind of fit everything in. It's kind of pretty difficult. I'm sorry about that in the last video, but I'll try and make sure that I have it just about in the middle of the video this time. Don't forget, if I make any kind of mistakes like that, there'll be a corresponding blog post with this as well, and I'll kind of take some screenshots and fire them into the blog post as well. Anything that I talk about that's important, like resources or tools that I use, are going to be in the description and the blog post. Let's get into this beat. It's Tyler the Creator type beat. This is the intro, okay? And we'll pause it there. Straight away, you can see it's a very quick intro, and there's a mixture. It's kind of like playing a section, what would be considered a hook, but I don't really, it's kind of more, they're more interludes than hooks in this track. And that was the intro and a bit of an interlude, okay? So we'll just break down the instrumentations, and you can hear the creepy vibe to it already, but there is a good movement with the drums. So this is the intro. And you can hear it's very heavy effects, kind of a piano and a violin sound as well, kind of strings. There's a lot of different elements in it. We'll start with the dark movements, and this is a synth in Alchemy. Just duplicate that there and take a look at the synth and see what is actually in this, what was in the makeup of this synth, and the chord structure. Okay, and you can see that it's an Alchemy synth. Dark movements, just a simple synth in there. I did kind of tweak with the EQ. We'll just hear with and without. We'll do a comparison test, see what it is. I have compression on it, and a linear EQ, and a channel EQ. Just see what I did with the EQ. Took off everything. Sorry, I did that again. Make sure that it's in the video. So I took off everything below 200. Pushed everything at around 501k. And we'll see why I did that now in a second. We'll just play the MIDI notes just to give you... That is really low now. And it's hidden in the background there as well. Second, I'll just loop that so we can hear it properly with the EQ on, so we can see what's the comparison, why I put that EQ on. Let's put our effects back on again. It's kind of this radio it's this kind of creepy radio vibe. That's really it. Not much to it. Simple little chord structure. We'll move on. Next one was Mystical Vocal. It's another Alchemy synth. Take a look at what I did in the EQ. Took everything off below 200, boosted a little bit at 1K, and cut everything off at 2K. And that's just a simple mix that I did for it. It's the same chord structure as the previous synth as well. Nothing crazy. You can see the chords in that. Ooh. And that's pretty simple. Nothing crazy there. And we'll just see what the last one. The last one is the piano. And there's a reason why I kind of leave those gaps. So it's like ding, 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 ding. And because I fill those gaps later on with extra instruments. What I usually do, this is a kind of a cool technique, and I kind of learned this from pop music and EDM a lot more, is what they will do is they'll build a riff or some kind of melody with one synth, and then they'll chop it up and put each note into different synths, and it's a really cool effect. And this is what I kind of spaced it out for in this section. So I probably had like dum, 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 dum. And I kind of played that out, but I cut them later on when I brought in extra sounds, because you'll hear it in a minute. It goes dum 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 do do dum 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 do dum, and I kind of hide. It's kind of like leaving it open for the weird sounds to kind of peek through, and it just kind of, you'll hear it in a second now. But that transition piano is in the ESX2. We'll just take a look at the EQ and what I did on it. In a second now, we'll just duplicate that and we'll drag it out. Second now, transition piano, and we'll look at the channel EQ. We'll drag that over here so everyone can see. It's very subtle. Nothing crazy there. You barely hear the EQ that I've done. But if you take off my delay, you take off my limiter, take off my reverb, my compression, let's see what it sounds like then. It sounds a bit cheesy. It still has a cool vibe to it though. I think it's better with that kind of radio sound in the background when you kind of stick it all in together. It's entirely up to whoever is listening. Sometimes I kind of go back over this and I'm thinking, do you know what? It actually kind of sounds pretty good, both of them together. Maybe I should have done that, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. I stuck with what I have, and sometimes you just have to kind of. At that time when I was making this beat, I kind of felt what the vibe that I was got from those addition of those plugins. That's very heavy plugin based there. It's also bust out to some reverb as well. Steinway Piano 2 in the ESX24 EXS 24 synthesizer in Logic. And we'll just listen to all of those together now again. We'll just delete that because I don't need it. And it's just a creepy vibe. And then the last one is some kind of, I think it's a string within massive. 1 second, we'll go and check it out first. No, it's some creepy sound. And that definitely sounds like Tyler, the Creator. I think this kind of section, this little section was actually made for Tyler, the Creator. So we'll just see what I was doing in that, and we'll just press play again. 1 second, actually. I'm gonna see what synth it is again. Within Massive. So we'll just come back to this section, mute this, and go to Massive. And we'll bring it into the screen so everyone can see. It's MT51. You know why I picked this sound. This is just effects in the background. It's pretty cool. I like it. It just works with the beat, and there's nothing crazy. A little bit of compression, and I usually don't slam a lot of stuff, but if I think it needs it, I'll put a limiter on it, or I'll jack it up a bit more. There's another way to do it as well. A lot of the time, busting stuff out to another bus and then mixing the dry with the bus sound is a pretty good way, other than compression, because compression can take a lot of CPU. This time, the compressor seemed to be a good option. It just kind of needed a little bit more weight. It's kind of a little hidden in the background. My EQ, we'll just see if there's any difference. I've already deleted the synth. See the EQ, take off the EQ. It's very subtle, you'd barely notice it. Maybe over time I was just kind of cutting some sounds just to kind of let the other instruments peek through. So we'll move on to the next little sections. There's kind of 2 little violins here. Let's see what they do. We grab and there's a nice gap there. Do you remember I told you at the start of the beat where the piano has gaps in it? And this is purposely done so I can fill these with extra sounds later on. And those strings actually sound really perfect for that horrorcore kind of vibe in the beat. They're both from Logic, the ESX2 sampler. And we'll just bring up the EQ and see how I EQ'd them. And there's violins and cinema strings. They're pretty much similar sounds. 1 second now, we'll just take a look at the EQ. And that's the ESX where I got them from, or EXS. I keep calling it ESX. I don't know why, where I got that from. And there's not much done on that. I don't have any kind of EQ on there. Sometimes sounds are just fine on their own. And we'll just kind of listen to what each individual one sounds like. And that's kind of following the piano, but it has an extra note there, and this one is dragged out in that section. And the same with these strings as well. And they sound kind of creepy as well. The strings within Logic aren't the greatest sounds, but for this particular beat, they're pretty cool. They kind of match what I'm actually looking for. And then there's another synth down here in the bottom called Kaido Synth. It's in Massive. We'll just have a quick listen to that. And it's kind of this kind of Chinese kind of guitar kind of synth. It's very weird. And it's just 3 notes and 4 notes in specific strategic places. So right now they don't make any sense. But when you stick in all the other sounds, and this one will put some validity to what I've just shown you there, because it doesn't really make any sense there. So this is what I was telling you about before. This is where you mix in all these kind of little tiny pieces of of the puzzle of creating a beat, and by adding in those little sections within the gaps of the chord progression. 1 second now. We'll just see that little, because that little small little section is the crux. That is one of the major sections of the beat. Like those little ad-lib sounds, well, they're not really ad-libs, they're kind of ear candy sounds, kind of make the beat, and because they're strategically placed in certain sections within the beat. And second now, we'll just put in all of these sounds and we'll listen to them again. I won't put in the 808, but the 808 is integral to that section as well. And you can feel it now. You can feel it all come together now that it is, especially when this little 808 chimes in, and you can hear there's a pitch bend on this 808. You can see that I use the controller here. I didn't use the MIDI controller. I very rarely do it. I usually kind of type this in, because I'm not really that good at actually pitch bending with the pitch bend on my MIDI keyboard. I just never seem to get it the way I want it, and this is where I want it in the track. So I usually either built it into the ESX, like I've shown in previous tutorials, EXS sampler, or I kind of I build it into the pitch bend of the beat, and that's just how I put it in. And we'll just see what that sounds like here. And you can hear that there's a drawdown of the 808. It just goes down and then pulls back in again, but it's doing that pull and push factor within the music, and plus it's coming in a well-timed area as well to introduce the beat, so it's part of the intro of the hip-hop beat. Second now, and we'll just kind of jump into the hook, or no, not the hook, but this is kind of like the energetic section of the beat. And this is the kicks. We'll just play it first. We'll just kind of go through those little sections. So let's see what the kicks are doing. Pull that over. I'll give it a full bar. I'm not really crazy here to see. 1 second, I'll just move out of that again. We'll see two sections. Nothing crazy. It sounds pretty boring, but it's how it plays off the 808 is where it's supposed to come in. I forgot to mention that. Just take a look. It's at 140 BPM. Okay, so that's really important to remember. And we'll bring in the snare sound. We'll just take a look at what I did on the kick. There's not much to it. Usually I kind of boost at this section here, scoop out a little bit and then remove anything below 10K. There's just no need of it. And I'll use the linear EQ and a channel EQ on that. And it's just dropped into Ultra Beat and it's bussed out for a little bit of parallel compression. Next one is the snare. The snares are pretty integral to the beat because they kind of really keep, it's like almost the metronome of the beat. So just kind of listen to the snares. So there's two different snares there. There's one playing the and it's just playing on the 2 beat every time. So it's boom, 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 boom. So it's playing like that every section, just keeping a standard kind of snare pattern. And then the second one kind of plays off that snare. And it's kind of almost like a snare roll. It's a little bit of a snare roll. And there's a little bit of a clap there just to kind of accentuate that second hit on the end of that bar. And that's just a small effect, just to kind of accentuate some sound sometimes. Nothing crazy though. There is a lot of reverb on these snares. You can hear the difference if I take off the reverb on both snares and take off the compression, the parallel compression. It sounds so dry and so boring. And actually the snare sounds shitty. So when you stick the reverb and the parallel compression, and again it's very tight and it hits very hard. Plus there's a nice ring to the reverb as well. And then there's some hi-hats. Let's see what the hi-hats do. Okay, so the hi-hats are getting a bit crazy here. And we got to take a look at that. And it's just kind of a little roll in each section. So each mid-section of every bar, there's a little roll. And that's kind of repeated throughout the whole section. And it's nothing crazy, but it does fit the mix. And we'll just kind of listen to the hi-hats without any compression and without any reverb. There's a nicer sound, there's a rounder sound to the hi-hats with that. Plus I have a little bit of stereo spread on there as well. Then we have some open hi-hats. Just take a look at them. They're standard. They kind of just come in on the end of every bar, every second bar, sorry, my mistake. Nothing special there, but it's adding to the flavor of the beat. We can see it building now. And then another open hat comes in, and we'll see what this does. Open hat 2. This is a bit weird now. So I've kind of played around with this. There's no set structure. It just I found little pockets where it actually suited the beat. So we'll just go back and play all of that section together. It sounds erratic but it still sounds a bit metronomic. Still there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can still hear that there's a metronome there, even though it sounds really weird, but they're kind of playing off each other. So you can kind of hear that we're filling up the beat now, and it's starting to sound a lot better. Plus, this section comes in with the 808, just completely transforms it. So I'll just play the 808 on its own, because you heard the end of the 808 leading into this section. And this 808 has a pitch bend on it. You can see the sections where I pitch bend it. You you can see those sections. 1 second now, we'll just play them again. I'm just thinking that's fine. 1 second now, I just want to see that section as well. Yeah, there's 2 sections here, so there's 2 sections. We'll just play both of them. So at the first bar, I don't end, so I kind of ended abruptly there. So we'll just kind of listen from this section here. And then that kind of plays a little bit longer, and plus it kind of pulls it back up. So it drops down and comes back up again. And it just, you can hear it better with the drums. On its own, it's kind of bland. It's very hard to understand what I'm trying to do with just hearing the 808 on its own. But there is important sections that I just want to show you because I think it's important. We'll just get into the crux of it. Okay, and you can see that I have, now you can see that I have overdrive on it, and you just listen to the difference between with and without. Second, just make sure I'm playing it. Yeah, and second now, we'll go back to the overdrive again. That's the 808 without overdrive. And the way I got this was just by tweaking it. See, it sounds too grounded there. I want it noisy. I want it aggressive. Plus, it will peek through the mix a lot better if it has that overdrive on it. Also, I tuned it using a tuner in the ESX. So I tuned it within the ESX sampler and just made sure that I had everything in tune, and it's the right sound with the mix. Also, we have some standard, this is kind of my 808 kind of standard kind of mix. So I roll off a little bit of 220. Plus the clean sound. It was a clean 808 in the first place. Don't get really noisy 808s in the first place. Try and make your own noisy 808s, because if you got a noisy 808s, it would make it difficult to mix later on. It's usually better to get a clean 808 and then mix the noise into the 808. That's just my preference. I'm not saying anybody else's is wrong, but that's how I got the sound. It's also bussed out for some parallel compression. I know I've got the overdrive on there, but I still like, rather than kind of fattening the mix with limiters and expanders and stuff like that, I kind of just do a lot of kind of parallel processing. And it's just my way and the way I was taught to mix any kind of music. Just a rough mix anyway at the minute, and we'll just see. We'll just add in all the drums there, and we'll see what they all sound like together again. Just get back where I was. And we'll just delete that. Get back to my normal mix. We'll just play all the drums. That's all we're playing. Now you can see that everything comes in together. Just play with the instrumentation. And there's another little section, there's 2 little flutes that kind of play little sections down here, little notes, little riffs. We'll just take a listen to them. Because they're part of what I originally was talking about, the little ear candy sounds popping in and out. And just to keep the energy of the beat but kind of keep the beat simple as well. Like this could be a standard kind of 8-bar loop or 16-bar loop, and just kind of have little interludes of sounds coming in and out, but they're strategically placed in the gaps in the 808s, the kicks, and the instrumentation as well. So the first one is a burst flute, and that's in massive. We'll just take a look at the EQ, just rolled off at 200, it was fine other than that. It's bussed out to some reverbs, and it's got some stereo spread on there as well. Nothing crazy. We'll just take a look at the MIDI. Very low flute sound, and it's just playing a little melody. Nothing crazy. The second one is in massive also. It's got some overdrive. I kind of use the overdrive there as a kind of a compressor to kind of fatten the sound. Just give me a rounder sound. And I rolled everything off 200 again. There was just no need to mix any more sounds in through it. Together, layered, they sound like this. That's pretty cool. And they chime in those sections like I told you about. And it just kind of all gels together. The little section after this comes in then. No kicks. Okay, there was a little bit of a change up there, so I kind of put in this crazy kind of 16th note hi-hats there just to kind of add a little bit of flavor. Now, I picture like someone like Tech One or something like that kind of rapping on something like this kind of section here. Where the rapper would just kind of just really fire out these kind of machine gun type raps, and someone like Tech One would do that. Or there's loads of kind of those kind of fast type rappers out there that could do that, and nothing crazy there. Simple kind of riffs. And then again, I strategically cut everything here by just pulling all the MIDI back and just leaving that section to play just the little wedding violin. It's just such a Tyler the Creator sound, that sound there. Just, I don't even think the beat sounds like Tyler the Creator, but that sound and the creepy kind of thing as well sound very Tyler the Creator. That kind of, that M52 or 51, whatever it's called. Those two sounds just scream Tyler the Creator to me. And then like this kind of just repeats itself over and over again. There's nothing really else to this section of this beat, but there was nice elements. It was actually a fun beat to make. Plus it was something different. I kind of didn't really kind of follow the verse, chorus, verse. I don't even know what this is really. Is it an interlude or what is it? It's just 16-bar loop with interludes. That's the way I kind of describe it. It's only for kind of rappers that want a track without a chorus. But then again, you could technically use that little interlude as a chorus if you wanted to. We'll just play a little bit of the section and then I'll end it. Okay, I can't think of anything else to talk about in the beat. I think you can see that I use a lot of the VCA faders as standard. I have some side parallel compression, some reverb. Prince Hall is my reverb on this one, and snare chamber. There are my snare reverbs. This is amazing. This Space Designer is just what a plugin. If you figure out what sounds, what presets you love. It's just so easy to have stuff ready there and then to help you make a beat, because that's the hardest thing with making a beat. Picking the right song or sounds in the first place, picking the right reverbs, effects on the first place to make it so much easier to mix. If you kind of just stuff too much stuff in, or if you're not sure about it but you put it in anyway, you'll end up have to come back and remix it again. It's just a nightmare. But we'll take off some of my plugins on the output, and we'll just see what it sounds like without it. Very light, very light. And it just sounds nice and more aggressive then. Okay guys, this is how you make a Tyler the Creator beat. Just like I said before, don't forget to share and subscribe. Plus there is additional resources in the description of the YouTube video, plus on at thecorporatethiefbeats.com. I'll check you out in the next beat making tutorial, guys. Take care. Bye.